Welcome to the Clay Edwards Podcast, the shot of adrenaline your mornings didn't know we needed. It's now time to sit down, strap in, and turn it up to 11.
Are you ready?
I feel like Jackson, Mississippi.
As we go to war for the soul of America, your host, award-winning podcaster, Clay Edwards.
All right, Jackson, Mississippi, the bold, and man, I do mean bold, new city. Boy, y'all got some gumption around here. We're coming at you live at 103.9 WYAB in the Generator Power Solutions studio. Check out GeneratorPowerSolutionsLLC.com and don't get left without power if another ice storm comes through. Look, man, woo! I started this show with the idea of leave the Save Jackson stuff on the internet, do the Clay Edwards show, try to separate the two a little bit. So, get on here, help people feel better about themselves, and show them that, that they can get through life through struggles and everything. No matter what, you can kind of overcome adversity. Try to highlight good people doing good stuff in the area, yada, yada, yada. Man, just like the mafia, I keep trying to get out. Y'all keep pulling me back in. You just keep pulling me back in. So today, we're going to discuss this ice storm, this lack of water. I'm 6 days in without water at my house. Tomorrow morning will be 7, not a drop. Not a drop. If it wasn't for a swimming pool, I wouldn't even be able to use my toilet. Which, of course, I'm going to have to refill that at some point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm about 50 gallons or more, probably 100 gallons out of my pool that's gone into my toilets to flush them since then. Got dishes piled high, having to boil with bottled water to try to attempt to clean the occasional pot. I'm fired up, son. I'm fired up. And then, just to boot, then y'all go and do this stuff with Deion Sanders yesterday. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about the Deion Sanders stuff in the next segment, but we're going to get caught up here. I got some stuff I want to hit y'all with this morning. Look, I'm going to need your interaction today. The Black Axis Throwing Club caller line, 601-879-0002. Question of the day. I want to jump in here. Question of the day, brought to you by me, Save Jackson. Follow me on all social media platforms at SaveJXN. If you don't like calling if you don't want to call and talk to the show, hit me up on Twitter. I am live in the studio today. I will reply to you. Who's the worst mayor in the last 25 years of Jackson? If you had to point the finger at one person for what's going on in Jackson, let's use the water issue as the main culprit of my anger today. Where does it go back to? Now, I know that a lot of people love to go back to Dale Danks because he was the last conservative Republican mayor in the city. So it's like, Dale Danks, it's Dale Danks' fault. Okay, let's pretend for 1 second it is Dale Danks' fault. Man, Dale Danks could have dropped a nuclear bomb on Jackson and it had been rebuilt since he was last mayor in 1989. He was mayor last 32 years ago. Is that right? Is it 32 years ago and we still crying about Dale Danks? The whole entire Gulf Coast got rebuilt in less than a year after Katrina, at least infrastructure-wise. Then you had Kane Ditto. So I'm going to run down the list here. Dale Danks, 77 to 89. Kane Ditto, 89 to 97. That's where I saw the beginning of the change. I got my driver's license in 92, and that's where I started seeing it getting really bad, moving into South Jackson and whatnot. 97 to 05, and again in 09 to 2013, Harvey Johnson Jr., who gets my award for worst mayor in the history of the city of Jackson. Because that was at the point of my 20s, even some in my teens there. And as I was a business owner downtown at Club 105 right there on Capitol Street for his second term. Heck, and part of his first, for that matter. We moved down there in 2002. So, yeah, we were 3 years, looks like 5 years of Harvey. I was a business owner in Jackson. Then you had Frank Melton from 2005 to 2009. He died in office. Say what you want to about Frank. I know that he rubbed some people the wrong way. Man, he rubbed us the wrong way at the club. You know, I could tell you all a story about that, and I may do it on today's show. Then you have Tony Yarber from 14 to 17, and from 2017 to present, you have Antar Lumumba. I left off any interim mayors, and I left off Chokwe Sr. because he was only in office a year before he died, and whether I agree with his politics or not, I don't think you can do enough in a year to justify being considered the worst of anything or the best of anything. So I'm just curious, man. Give us a call on the Black Axis Throwing Club hotline at 601-879-0002. Chime in. Who do you think the worst mayor of the last, I said 25 years, I guess it'd be 32, 33 years if you go back to Dale Danks. You know, but if you're going to say Danks, man, I want to know why. If you're going to say any of them, I want to know why. Here's a little number for you. Check this out. So, Antar took office on July 3rd, 2017. The city was sitting at 29 homicides on that day. 29. When he took office on July 3rd, there was not another homicide until July 5th of 2017. Since July 5th, 2017, there have been 349 murders that we know of, that Jackson claimed in Jackson. 349 murders. And I still know of one that, for whatever reason, they're not claiming. So, look, we got a caller. Let's jump in here. Caller, you're on the air.
Clay, what's going on, brother?
Good. Who's this?
Hey, this is Joe.
Hey, Joe. What's going on, brother?
Oh, not much. I was just going to chime in on what you're talking about with the worst mayor. What's got going on here?
Who you got?
Man, I've got to go with the current mayor, and the reason why is due to the fact that you've gone through this long list of potential candidates here of the worst mayor, and you've seen, like you said, since '89, just this slow digression of the city of Jackson, and here comes this young, educated, pretty sharp guy. He's got the he's very well spoken.
He checks off a lot. He checks off a lot of boxes. You know,
right?
Super smart guy.
And he actually did a little work with Governor Bryant across the aisle on some of the education reform stuff that they worked on, and that was a positive. But outside of that, I guess he's got the most to work with, the most potential. As bad a shape as Jackson has gotten to, there should be several positives that he could bring to the table, because it's kind of like Trump said a couple of years ago, like, what the hell do you have to lose? Like, how can it get any worse? Almost. You've got all these things that you can improve on, yet you don't see any change. The homicide rate stays the same. You're still playing the political games and being spiteful and vindictive to the other party instead of reaching across the aisle and making progress. So I guess the short of it is, I think he's the worst because he would have the easiest job of making improvements, just simply because of the fact of how bad it's gotten.
Oh yeah, I'm in the car business is my day job, and we've all been at dealerships where they're a train wreck. It's like being having a front row seat on the Titanic, and they bring in a new general manager, and they turn it. Man, you see this drastic turnarounds in the first couple months. And when the floor is really low, it's not hard to at least bring it back up to make average look good.
Exactly.
It's like when you first start losing weight, right, man? It's the easiest to lose that first 20 or 30 pounds because it's just a change in habits. Mm-hmm. Then you start making that real change as you get further into that. And man, we haven't even lost the first 20 pounds in Jackson. We've put on another 50.
Absolutely.
It's terrible,
Absolutely.
man. Like I say,
I agree with you.
I talked about this on my podcast the other night, and I would have to agree with you. He's the worst, but I can't make any excuses. He is. Man, I want to say Harvey Johnson because of all the businesses that left under Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as just do nothing except complain, and have press conferences about stuff you're going to do that never comes to fruition, it's got to be Antar. But, man, I was saying it on my podcast the other night. He just – if I had the same resume at my job of accomplishments, if you laid them side by side, I'd be one fired butt, man. There's no way. There's no way I could sit here and write all the things that he's done down in some comparison to real world work experience, and you'd be able to measure it as doing a good job. There's just
right, and you've got all this potential and that he has personally in himself, and that the city has. I mean, just an example, I saw it on social media talking about what happened with Deion Sanders this weekend. Just the sheer fact of Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman, spring football here in the city of Jackson, where can all the revenue that can be brought in on that, all the attention they don't have Mississippi State, Southern, and Ole Miss and these other schools to compete with in the fall. And just an unbelievable opportunity, and we got knuckleheads. They're going to run him off before we can do anything.
Yeah, second time he's been robbed, or stolen from. It's in the last 30, 45 days. Mm-hmm. This, and then I'm going to talk about this in the next segment. And it seems to be the same things going on over at Jackson State that's going on in Jackson. It doesn't matter what happens; you are not allowed to speak out against it. And Deion crossed that. He found out last night, real quick. No. You can't say that happened. We don't care if it happened, but you can't talk about it. Like everybody jumped on my social media saying, "Well, he got it back. But it still got stolen." That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I mean,
and what condition did he get it back?
This man, Deion, ain't had to live in the hood since before he went to Florida State. He is not used to what's going on here. Welcome to fabulous Jackson, Mississippi, Deion Sanders.
Exactly, and like I said, all the opportunity in the world, and he's trying to bring it back. And if you follow Deion in any other realm outside of the Jackson State and his professional career, he's got a lot going on with Barstool Sports.
Oh yeah,
and he's like I said, such an opportunity, and it just goes back to the fact of why I think the current administration is the worst, because there's nothing else to lose. It's really hard to make it any worse, and all this opportunity on the table and wasted potential, and yet he still finds a way to squander it. I don't understand it.
Still playing the race card and blaming it on white flight. Like, man, come on, we've had 25 plus years, so somebody's got to do something. Us complaining about the problem, can't be worse than the problem. It's like, hey, man, I'm willing to come across the aisle. I'm not a politician, but as a citizen, I'm willing to come across the aisle and try out your whole radical city nonsense. If I see something good happening, but I'm not seeing anything good happening. Look, Joe, I appreciate you calling in, brother. We got to take a break, and we will be right back here on 103.9 WYAB.
He's here to cancel culture.
Who are you then?
Just the fly in the ointment, the monkey in the wrench.
Welcome back to the Clay Edwards Show.
Yippee-ki-yay.
All right, Jackson, Mississippi. Again, the bold new city, the city without soul, Jackson, Mississippi. We are here live in the Generator Power Solutions studio at 103.9 WYAB. This segment is brought to you by Dumsters of Mississippi, the area's newest premier rollback dumpster service. Whether you are a weekend DIY warrior or a general contractor or whatever you may need to put junk, garbage in a rollback dumpster, give Dumpsters of Mississippi and my good friend Kevin and his crew over there a call at 601-966-8599. You can also follow them on Facebook at Dumsters of Mississippi. Great locally owned business. Kevin has been in business in Jackson for as long as I've been around, and he's always creating new stuff and doing great stuff in the area. So if you'd like to support local, give Dumsters of Mississippi a call today. All right, so first off, I want to say congratulations to Deion Sanders and the players of the JSU Tigers. Congratulations, man. Huge win yesterday, 53-0. I don't care who you were playing, how big of a school it wasn't. It doesn't matter. None of that matters once you go to getting punched in the mouth. You know, as I say, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Look, man, that's why they play the games. 53-0 win over Edward Waters. I had to Google what Edward Waters was. It's a school of 968 undergrad students as of 2019. It is located in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was founded in 1866 by the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So, little history on who Edward Waters School is, but 53-0, man, that's great. Congratulations. And I hate this. I hate that that's not the lead subject this morning, but we got to talk about this. This is unacceptable, Jackson. And Deion Sanders said it too in the press conference. My jaw hit the floor when I heard him. You could see that he was hurt. He was hurt. He was disappointed. You know, and he's going to learn about bringing valuable stuff into Jackson. He's going to learn real quick not to do that. You can't leave it nowhere. This hookup culture, this I'm going to let you slide in the back door culture, you know, it's devastating here. And then, like I was just talking on with the caller in the first segment, you know, and Deion learned real quick, you ain't supposed to talk about the bad stuff. It may happen, but let's handle that in-house. You know, that it appears that the same problem is going on at JSU that's going on in all of Jackson. And I see it every day on my Save Jackson page. I get broiled for even mentioning that a crime happened, or that there's litter all over the place, or that there's murder happening, or abandoned properties, or that these churches own all this abandoned property that's filled with drugs and prostitutes and they don't do anything with it. I'm the problem for acknowledging there's a problem. I'm a bigger problem for acknowledging there's a problem. And it's like, what upside down pound cake world are we living in where acknowledging there's a problem is worse than the problem? I mean, have none of these people ever been to AA or NA? Like, the first thing you have to say is, my name is Clay Edwards, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a drug addict. You got to say, I'm Jackson, Mississippi, and I got a problem. When did admitting that you have a problem become worse than the problem? And everybody always says, positive solutions only. Jackson don't need a positive solution. Jackson needs to be smacked upside the head. Somebody last night said, well, Clay, why don't you throw an event or a fundraiser and really try to save Jackson, and I'll come out there and help? Man, ain't no event, no fundraiser, no prayer rally, no peace march, no none of that. None of that's going to save Jackson. If it would already be saved, because there's been a bunch of that. And I'm not knocking the people who do those things, by the way. I mean, because something is better than nothing. But that's not what's going to work at this point. The only hope this city has is to get out to those polls. I think, what is it, June? I know the primaries are coming up, but the general election is in June here in Jackson, and vote as many of these current people out of the mayor's office and off the city council as you possibly can. I'm not saying change is always better, but I honest to God, don't know how much worse it can get. At least we can say we tried. At least we can say we tried. So let's jump into this Deion thing. And this thing's got more twists and turns. So here's Deion's quote from the post-game press conference. He I'm peed right now because I have a mixed emotion, Sanders said. We won. The kids played really well. But while the game was going on, someone came in and stole every darn thing I had in the locker room in the coach's office. So this happened at the stadium, by the way, not on campus at JSU. So they got my credit cards, wallet, watches. Thank God I had my necklaces on. How? So when I talk about the quality, raising the standards that goes for everyone, not just the people on the field, not just the coaches, not just the teacher, not just the faculty, but every security, everybody. Then he goes on to say, so how do you think it feels coming back and having just been teary-eyed because you guys presented me with the game ball? One of the best moments I've ever had in my professional sports career emotionally. And then you go into your locker room, your coach's office, and you notice that you don't even have a phone to call your mama, to call your girl, to call your kids because it's been stolen. You don't even have the hats that you wore here. We're going to have to find who did it. Well, they found who did it, and it got returned. What condition, who knows? They made it a point to say it got returned. Then they tried to spin it and say that it just got misplaced. It got put in safekeeping for him while he was coaching. Well, Deion came straight out and said that's a lie. And I got the conversation right here. I'm going to pull it up. So, where is it? All right. Noah Newman from WJTV tweeted something about the school saying it being misplaced. That tweet has since been deleted, it appears. But Coach Prime says, lies. It was stolen because a staff member walked in on the theft being committed, but she couldn't fight a dude off. That don't sound like misplaced to me. Does that sound like misplaced to y'all? And I'm gonna take Deion Sanders at his word. I'm happy to have Deion Sanders in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm gonna take the man at his word. So Deion has no reason to lie. It's his stuff that got stolen. So Noah Newman comes back and says, from WJTV, says, I apologize for the confusion. That is what a school official told the media. Guys, when did it become worse to talk about the crime than to commit the crime? I talked about this a few minutes ago. There's no excuse for it. I want to hear y'all's opinions on this. Call us on the Black Axis Throwing Club phone line at 601-879-0002. I want you guys' opinions on this. Where do you stand? Should Deion have just shut up and gone along with it? Or is Deion in the right for calling it out? I'm 100% back Deion Sanders on this. I don't want to make no bones about it. I back Coach Prime. We need to give this a name. This needs to be some kind of gate, doesn't it? Deion Gate, Prime Gate, Theft Gate, JSU Gate. Y'all come up with a good name for this conspiracy. All of them here lately have to have some kind of nickname, don't they? Obama Gate, Trump Gate. It's all of them, isn't it? Man, it's just embarrassing. You know, we're sitting here. I ain't had water at my house for a week now. Tomorrow will be 7 days. Been having to go to my sister's house in Richland to take a dang shower, to wash clothes. I got a stack of dishes in my sink. Can't clean them. You know, chasing bottled water. Now, we were prepared, but you can only be so prepared to be without water for a week. It's no excuse. No excuse. Speaking of water, they as of last night around 6 o'clock, the pressure was sitting at around 58 psi. The goal is 90, so it could be a while. And I'm out there in South Jackson, close to Byram. So if you're out there in that Forest Hill Road to Byram area, we're the last in line of how this is going to work, just based on where the water's coming from versus where it's got to get to. So hopefully by the end of the day, we've got some water pressure. They know of 20 main leaks, but I don't even care about that right now. We know that the water's garbage here, and the last 25, 30 years of incompetent mayors and city leadership are to blame for that. Can you say it's just the most current one's fault? No, not necessarily. But what's being done? What has he done since he got in office to try to get this water situation taken care of? All I know of is we sued the people that do the water billing and didn't use city council, used outside counsel for that. You know, you do the math there. So I asked y'all in the first segment, question of the day, who is the worst mayor in the history of Jackson over the last 25, 30 years? Let's just say modern era, since the downfall of Jackson. You got Dell Danks, Kane Ditto, Harvey Johnson Jr. twice, Frank Melton, Tony Yarber, or Antar Lumumba. I did not put Chokwe Sr. on there. He was only in office for a year, and he passed away. You can't do enough good or bad in a year to make a best of or worst of list. And I excluded interim mayors. So give us a call on the Black Axis Throwing Club line at 601-879-0002. 888-866-0202. And what say you? All right. Man, this Deion thing, this grinds my gears. This man up and leaves a beautiful part of Texas to come to Jackson State. Granted, the money's good. He wants to pursue coaching. It's a stepping stone. I know nobody wants to hear that, but jobs like JSU are stepping stone jobs, just like jobs like Mississippi State and Ole Miss are stepping stone jobs. So they sorry, I heard something in my phone line there. So stepping stone jobs. He's here. He knows what's going on. Man, this dude is raising the profile of not only Jackson State, but the city of Jackson. They're filming reality shows here. He's got the best recruiting class in HBCU history, or maybe group of five, non-major league history, whatever you want to call it. I get it all confused nowadays. Had a great recruiting class, 5 stars, 4 stars, going to JSU. Man, this reminds me of the glory days. I grew up in Jackson in the 80s. My dad tells me about the 70s when Walter Payton and stuff was playing, when they were selling out the stadium. I mean, the glory days, man. You got a chance to bring that back. And the city is going to kill this like a cancer. It's terrible, man. It's embarrassing. I don't know, what do you do about it? And what's really sad about it, what happened at the stadium, is that has to have been an inside job of sorts, right? There should be security all over the place blocking off the locker rooms. I mean, that's like a band at the Coliseum, being on stage, performing, and somebody breaking in the dressing room and stealing their stuff. Now, let me paint a picture for you here. Think of all the security and stuff it takes with backstage passes or security credentials or whatever it takes to even get backstage or into the locker room area of a facility like the Veterans Memorial. So somebody that was already back there is responsible for this, and they should tell us who. They should be arrested, and we should know who this was. If it was a staff member or a family member or whatever else, we should know. Let's clear it all out, because this is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It's embarrassing. We won't be able to wipe the stain of what's going on in Jackson off the city for a generation. If it all stopped today, it would be a generation. Let me make an example here. We've all got a family member, for the most part, that may have had a drug problem or something like that. No matter how long they've been sober, we still think of them as that. We got a caller here. Caller, you're on the air.
What's happening, Clay? It's Scott. How you doing?
Hey, brother. How you doing, Scott?
Man, I'm great. And I'm sorry I didn't make it Saturday night. You need to text blast that a little bit early. I already had some plans, but I would have loved to make it. I hope it went good.
It did, man. You did. Let me mention that real quick, man. We had a launch party for the radio show out at Black Axes Throwing Club in Flowood. Almost 150 people showed up. We had Chad Wesley play. I want to thank Black Axes for having us, and I want to thank everybody for coming out and making that thing an overwhelming success. So thank you for bringing that up, Scott.
That's great. I'm glad. Yeah, I was hoping my mere absence didn't it probably help things, to be honest. But
now we had the whole crew out there, man. Chops, Trig, Chip.
I knew I was going to miss them. I knew I was going to. You're going to do something like that again, though, right?
We're going to do it once a month somewhere.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Well, look, so unfortunately, I got a phone call right when I was in the middle of listening to you on my phone on the app. So, I missed some of it. I want to talk about the city of Jackson and the water issues.
Yeah,
because I did some driving. I did some driving around through South Jackson several months ago. Just that strip of all the residential area between McDowell Road and Cooper Road, and tons of houses in there. It used to be a really thriving area. And let's just put the commercial and retail aside and just look at residential.
Hey, Scott,
how much is a
Scott? Can you hang on with me through the break?
Yeah, go.
He's here to cancel culture.
Who are you then? Just the fly in the ointment, the monkey in the wrench.
Welcome back to the Clay Edwards Show.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Welcome back to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment is brought to you by Lakeland Glass and Tint, where quality matters. Visit Lakeland Glass and Tint for all of your automotive glass needs and window tinting needs. Give Jason and the team a call today at 946-1000. Lakeland Glass and Tint, where quality matters. Now, my good buddy Scott stayed on hold through the break. Scott, are you still with us?
Of course I am.
I appreciate that, man. My timing is impeccable here, taking a call as it's time to go to a break. But I'm very grateful you stayed on. All right, picking back up. You said you were riding through Jackson.
Yeah, I was riding through, and we're just going to look at residential. Let's just forget about retail and commercial. But those are huge issues. I mean, you look at, the old Apple Ridge and over there where the skating rink used to be on Cooper Road, and that shopping center next to it that they've now just got a police precinct in. But all those haircutting places and all the different, and the gyms and the things that used to be there, they use a lot of water. And I know water in the city of Jackson and in every municipality is a utility. So people go, well, we're just supposed to have it. But the business model behind that utility is X number of actual meters running, so many gallons of water, we make this much money, and we tag on the trash pickup and a few other things. That's where the city gets their money. You go through a cul-de-sac in South Jackson that had 20, 25 houses, and you go through there now, and only about 30 or 40% of those homes are actually occupied. So you've got to maintain 100% of the road still and 100% of the water line still, but the revenues you're getting are at best 30 or 40%. The rest of the houses are falling apart. They don't even have windows and doors. So imagine the people who are still living there. It's not like they're maintaining their homes to make yard of the month in the neighborhood. No.
If you got a burned out house next door to you, the motivation to have the yard of the month is not going to be there, and it would be that way anywhere. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So if you're City of Jackson, you've got to start picking and choosing where's your money going to go. And you're not going to pave. You're not going to do a lot of work paving that and maintaining the water line. You're just going to fix things as you have to in those areas because well, I mean, I hate to say it is what it is. I mean, you just don't. Back whenever that was full occupancy and property values were higher, you could, you had the revenues to do it. But everybody's moved out. Nobody's living there. Who's living there is maintaining their properties very well. And then just don't even think about commercial. I mean, imagine places, the amount of water that commercial, industrial, and retail use. A lot of restaurants, are gone. They use a ton of water. So the amount of real estate that it takes to have those places for the size of their water bill made it easier on the people in the residential areas. Their water bills were more affordable, but now you don't have any of those. Businesses moved out first, and then the residents were left holding the bag trying to pay increased water bills. If you've ever been to the City Works or, the water bill place there at the Metro Center, all they do is spend their time trying to figure out how much money can you pay this month. You're 3 months behind. Well, you got $20? Give me $20. You owe $300, but give me $20. They're just busy negotiating. Yeah,
and then you throw in the whole water billing fiasco. My folks went out there, man, they didn't get a water bill for a year, and then when they did, it was $5,000. Well, even if you took their highest year previously and divided that, you still couldn't multiplied it. I mean, you still couldn't come up to $5,000 in a month. A year water bill.
Even with late fees.
Yeah, even with late fees and everything.
It wasn't their fault because they were never getting the bill.
Exactly.
And I've dealt with them. I had rental properties. I got rid of them in Jackson because you
were getting stuck with the bag too often on people bailing out and you being left with the utilities.
Well, yeah, but you can't get anything done. You go down there and you tell them, here's the problem. Here's the person I talked to last week. It still didn't get done. Why am I? You have to wait a month to get your bill in, and then it's not right again. And then you go back and they say, well, this didn't happen, but you said that was going to happen. Why does this bill say the same thing as it did last time? I thought we fixed it. Well, sir, let's do this. Well, we did this last month. Why am I doing it again this month? They're, I don't know if it's the system, if they're incompetent, or some combination thereof, but it takes a year to get one problem fixed when you've done all the work for them. It just still doesn't get done. So, that's a big issue. A lot of people there just holding down a desk, brother. And it's when you get people like that, that just compounds the already structural issues that they have out in the field. It's difficult. And I don't envy any mayor trying to deal with those problems.
No, look, I understand why we don't, why no super duper qualified candidate wants this job. I mean, there's some people who love the city who are out there and campaigning for it. Charlotte Reeves, Les Tannehill. I can't remember some of the other cats' names off the top of my head. Kim Wade interviewed one of them the other day. Ken somebody or the other. I mean, there's some people that clearly love Jackson. I love Jackson, but I have like an abusive relationship with Jackson. I feel like a battered wife in Jackson that burnt the meatloaf. It's like, but I love you. It doesn't matter. You burned the meatloaf, and Jackson just constantly beats me upside the head.
Yeah,
it's like,
and everyone tells you need to get out, brother. You need to get out. You're like, no, it's really not that bad.
No, it is, man, and that's how I feel. I'm like, but as I'm saying, it's not that bad. I'm putting out this body of work that says otherwise. It's tough, man. It's tough to want to feel like you're being forced out of your childhood city because of incompetence. And then I was talking with one of the mayoral candidates last night, and I said, man, one of the biggest reasons I'm going to end up moving out of Jackson isn't even so much the crime itself in Jackson. It's it's the criminal justice system. It's what happens if I have to put a cap in one of these cats, trying to, it's me or him. I do not trust the system to not paint me as the aggressor. I do not believe that I could win a self-defense case in Hinds County.
Oh yeah, you'd be,
And that scares me beyond having to defend myself because I'm ready if I have to.
It would bankrupt you to do it in a way that would not be the case in other jurisdictions. And the only thing I can think of, just going back to the water and the roads, the only thing I can think of that would be a solution would be, practically speaking, use of eminent domain to actually shut down entire depressed areas. Pay off that last 2 or 3 houses in that cul-de-sac, buy their property, and then close that street, level it, cut the water off to there. You don't have to pave it. You're not getting taxes anyway. Just let the trees take over, and just that's the only thing I can think of that you can do, and that's a tough sell. But
Chip Matthews said that on my Facebook Live feed the other night. He said, Jackson needs to lower its footprint and take care of what it knows. Let Byram annex back the Forest Hill Road stuff that they gave up to incorporate. Give some of that back. Jackson needs to lower its footprint. Tighten it up.
More realistic.
Take care of what you can.
Yeah,
I agree.
They do.
That's a great deal there. Look, Scott, I need to take this break, brother. Again, always much appreciated you calling in. You bring some great knowledge to the show, and hopefully you can catch up with us at the next meet and greet event, whatever you want to call it.
Cool. Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
All right, brother. Be good. We're going to take this break right here. It's going to be our last break, and we're going to come back for the last segment, and I want to talk about Coca-Cola sending its white employees to Be Less White training. If you haven't heard the story.
He's here to cancel culture.
Who are you then? Just the fly in the ointment, the monkey in the wrench.
Welcome back to the Clay Edwards Show.
Yippee-ki-yay.
All right, welcome back to the last segment of the Clay Edwards Show. This is brought to you by Dumsters of Mississippi, and this segment here is just the whole segment. This is going to be my dumpster fire of the week, the what not to do in business dumpster fire of the week. Coca-Cola, man. Can these companies please stop with the wokeness? The whole get woke, go broke. Come on, man. Can I just drink my Coca-Cola without having to feel white guilt? I mean, good Lord. So Coca-Cola corporate had its employees undergo a course called Understanding What It Means to Be White, Challenging What It Means to Be a Racist. And it's by Robin DiAngelo, who basically wrote the white liberal version of Mein Kampf called White Fragility. And one of the things, and this says this in the screen cap here, you can check out Candace Owens' Twitter to see more of this. There's also a story about it on Outkick.com. It says to be less white, and it listed all some things here. 1, be less oppressive. 2, be less arrogant. 3, be less certain. 4, be less defensive. 5, be more humble. 6, listen. 7, believe. 8, break with apathy. 9, break with white solidarity. So, if with the exception of 9, it reminds me of every rap song I've ever listened to. I don't know how it. I said this before. I'll say it again. I hate to ever say the if I was fill in the blank minority group. I would be absolutely offended to death that they just assume that any of these things are just associated with the white race. Nobody else can be arrogant. Nobody else can be certain and self-confident. Nobody else can listen. I mean, that blows my mind what these white liberals are putting out there and telling you is racist. They're racist. What they're saying is racist. It's just not the racist they think it is. Man, my opinion on this, it's what's wrong with America, and it's why I think the America we grew up in is dead and gone. But look, that was the show for today, guys. Thank you so much. I got to jump off here. You can follow this show on all podcasting platforms. It will be available later today. Y'all take care.